subject that what we're going to be discussing today would be the future of health post-COVID, moving towards an integrated approach. Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me Dr. Devi Chetty, the chairman of Narayana Health, Dr. Robert Goldman, the world chairman, International Medical Commission, Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha, Secretary, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, Dr. Christian Garber, the managing director of the Frankfurt Innovation Center for Biotechnology. We have with us Dr. Geeta Krishnan, the technical officer, traditional and complementary integrative medicine unit at the World Health Organization, and also Dr. Ton Nikolai, the Secretary General member of the Executive Committee from the Eurocamp. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce each one of the panelists here who are there with us today. Dr. Devi Chetty is the founder and chairman and also the senior consultant at the cardiac surgeon at Narayana Health. Over the course of his distinguished career, Dr. Chetty and his team have performed over 120,000 heart surgeries. 40% of them are children. In 2000, he started Narayana Health, then known as Narayana Hridayalaya in Bangalore since its inception. NH has now grown to be one of India's largest healthcare groups, providing world-class, affordable, safe, and quality care for all. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to also present Dr. Robert Goldman. He's the co-founder and chairman of the board A4M, the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. He is also the world chairman for International Medical Commission, founder and chairman, International Sports Hall of Fame, president emeritus, National Academy of Sports Medicine, NASM. Dr. Goldman has authored over 440 books and also hundreds of scientific and also lay articles. He is a world champion athlete with over 20 world strength records and has been listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as well. It's my proud privilege to also introduce to you Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha. Before joining as the Secretary to Government of India, Ministry of Ayush, he has held the prestigious position of being the Vice Chancellor of the Gujarat Ayurveda University, Jamnagar, and has been working as a Chief Consultant of Chakrapani Ayurveda Clinic and AMP Research Center, Jaipur. Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha was awarded the Padma Shri, the fourth highest civilian award declared by the President of India on the 26th of January 2015. He has been an active member of various research councils and advisory boards, committees of many institutions, organizations in the field of Ayurveda education. We are honored to have you here, Mr. Kotecha. Dr. Christian Garber. Dr. Christian Garber has been the managing director of the Frankfurt Innovation Center for Biotechnology since its founding in 2002. Dr. Garber has special expertise in linking the financial, pharmaceutical, and biotechnology sectors. Under the management of Dr. Garber, FIZ GmbH has been established itself to be at a place where scientific ideas and projects are globally moved from mind to market. The focus of his work is on the development of international business models, innovative data-driven technologies, aiming at creating solutions for personalized health. Dr. Geeta Krishnan. Dr. Geeta Krishnan is working with the World Health Organization at Geneva as a technical officer at the Traditional Complementary and Integrative Medicine TCI unit. He supports and objects of the WHO to integrate traditional medicine into the national health systems of its member states. He's responsible for developing global support norms and standards of traditional medicine, systems such as Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, and Yoga. These include benchmark documentation for practice and training in Ayurveda and Unani as a standard terminology document in Ayurveda, Unani, and Siddha systems of medicine. He's a researcher and clinician. His background expertise is in Ayurveda with specific training, clinical, and research experience in integrative medicine. He has the research experience in herbal drug development. He is a key member of the Ayush-based COVID-19 response task force of the Government of India, as well as the organizer for several clinical trials on COVID internationally and also within India. Dr. Ton Nikolai graduated as a medical doctor in 1972. He started working as a general practitioner. Not being satisfied with the limitations of conventional medicine, he studied several CAM modalities, including homeopathy, acupuncture, manual therapy, and naturopathy, and worked as a consultant homeopathic doctor for 35 years. He was on the boards of national and international associations. He was one of the founders of the European Committee for Homeopathy and served as its president for 12 years. Over the last 6 years, he has worked as a spokesperson and later on as a Secretary General of Eurocam, the European Foundation representing patients and healthcare professionals, medical doctors, veterinarians, practitioners in the CAM sector. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have such an esteemed panel here with me speaking on the future of healthcare post-COVID, moving towards an integrative approach. I'm your moderator for the day. My name is Arvind Varcheswu. I'm the Managing Director of Sri Sri Tattva, and it's a pleasure to be moderating this session with all of you here. Setting in the tone for this particular panel, we've seen that, especially the last 1 year, the entire world has reeled under this pandemic, something that perhaps the entire world was, really never prepared for. And especially with technology being available even in the medical field, we still saw that how entire humanity perhaps really needs to be, more prepared to come across in handling a pandemic. We've seen that over the last 1 year that different systems of medicine have come across together to find solutions to this pandemic. Perhaps it was the very first time where we saw a whole lot of systems of medicine, whether it's there in India, basically the Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, and Homeopathy systems, and also the allopathy systems worked in as one and worked in harmony to see that how we could come across with solutions to this challenge that what the world is facing on. Here at Sri Sri Tattva, we had clinical trials that what we've done, with Ayurveda and also Siddha medicines. And we've seen that there's a whole lot of solutions that what can also be sought after from the traditional systems of medicine that what India and also the other countries also have to offer. We've also noticed that the frontline workers and doctors have given it their best to really see that how the world could come out of this very tough situation that perhaps nobody was really prepared for. I would like to personally salute all the frontline workers and all the doctors spread across fraternity, allopathy, Ayurveda, and all other systems of medicine to really see that how they could come across and give a solution and also perhaps solace to people during these very challenging times that what the world is dealing on. Ladies and gentlemen, I have today with me a really erudite panel, really carrying across experience that moves right from Ayurveda to allopathy to very experienced surgeons and also people who've gone across to see that how regulatory changes could be done to see that how the entire world and also India could come across to deal with this pandemic that what has come and really changed all our lives, whether it comes to social distancing, whether it comes to the aspect of wearing a mask wherever you go, the aspect of how you treat people. So a lot of changes have happened even on the aspect of mental well-being. And we've seen that a whole lot of international journal reports, including the Harvard, Stanford, and also Yale did a whole lot of research on the practices of the art of living, which was founded by Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, to see that how mental well-being, especially during the COVID times, really needs to be addressed as well, apart from looking at medicines towards the particular pandemic. I leave the floor open to all you, really erudite gentlemen to discuss and really see that is there a solution that what we see in days to come for this particular pandemic, and what's the future of healthcare really going to look like in the coming years. So Dr. Devi Shetty, I would kindly request you to unmute and start off this panel for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Arvind. I'm extremely grateful to Guruji and your organization for giving me an opportunity to interact with some of the luminaries in this area of integrative healthcare. COVID has turned our world upside down. What was once unthinkable has happened. And I live in a city called Bangalore, And we are now in a fairly good position to predict how the next few months are going to be for us living in this beautiful garden city. Based on our last year's data, we are currently having about 12 to 16% positivity at the institution for COVID-19 testing. And in the next 10 days, it will reach up to about 25%. When that happens, our entire ICU beds will be packed. Last year, we had 500 COVID patients in our campus alone. We believe that the number will be significantly less for patients seeking critical care services. This has been our experience because last year by this time, we had close to 200 patients. Now we have about 60 patients. The peak will last for 2 months. And during the next 2 months, the positivity will come down, so is the incidence of COVID. And we hope by that time, because of the rapid spread of COVID, a good number of people would have been infected knowingly or unknowingly. And with the government's effort to vaccinate people, as you know, this is one country which can do amazing things. And once the government takes up vaccination as the main driver of protection, we can vaccinate half the country in a very short period of time. So once that happens, which I feel it will happen soon, we should be able to protect ourselves from the possible third wave of COVID. I'm very, very certain that we may not see a third wave. Of course, COVID is not going to go away from this world. It is going to lurk, but it won't be the way it is today. Our only hope is that when this pandemic comes to an end, the good thing is all the pandemics come to an end. In the end, everything will get resolved. When it happens, I hope to live in a better world, well prepared for the future pandemics or a better healthcare. And I'm extremely grateful to Sri Guruji for creating this forum, wherein we have the option or the freedom and the opportunity to build the blueprint of an integrative healthcare. And I strongly believe that India is one country which is really poised for integrative healthcare, because we have a tradition of preventing illnesses. Let me give you one example. The traditional Indian way of greeting with the folded hand namaste is what is now practiced across the world as one of the best way to protect yourself and protect the people who are getting introduced from COVID. So we have a very rich foundation. We have very, very rich allopathy as well as Ayurveda, yoga, homeopathy, and various other forms of medicine. I will briefly explain to you our exposure as tertiary heart care providers in the area of integrative healthcare. Long, long ago, we looked at the great benefits of yoga exercises on patients before heart surgery. And it was started 20 years ago. We have full-time yoga teachers teaching all the heart patients before heart surgery, all the important exercises to boost their immunity, boost their exercise capacity, as well as the ventilator capacity, with remarkable results. It's been an eye-opener for all of us. And then one of our diabetologists took up interest in yoga in managing diabetes. And his study, which is yet to be published, showed that patients who are on traditional medicine for diabetes, if they practice yoga, their blood sugar seem to be under uniform control throughout the day, rather than seeing swings of high and low blood sugar, which happens in most of the patients. So essentially, we believe that going forward, the best outcome in healthcare can be provided in wellness. And in wellness, I believe that alternative medical approaches like yoga, Ayurveda, and all the traditional medicine we have been practicing in India has a major role. And I would like to first thank Aravind for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to listening to all the experts in the alternative medicine. Thank you so much, Aravind.
Thank you so much, Dr. Devi. You're always very crisp in your inputs, but so powerful. Thank you very much for setting across a premise for the entire panel. And I would kindly request Dr. Robert Goldman to unmute himself. And we are looking forward to your 10 minutes now, Dr. Goldman. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here and with such an esteemed panel. What we've seen, something quite fascinating, we're now seeing a very augmented focus on personal health. People are now taking self-control of their health since they're not able or have not been able over the last year to see their medical practitioners as they normally will. So now people are taking more control of their own health. They're almost learning how to become their own personal trainer or their own personal physician advisor. And they have this ability now, which they didn't have or did not take the opportunity for in the past, to utilize the internet to research different health aspects that they may have some questions about. What we're also seeing now is an explosion in virtual fitness training, where instead of going to gyms, because a lot of the fitness centers have been closed, they're utilizing the internet in order to self-educate. So self-education has become a very extensive growth area. People also need additional emotional support due to increased depression because of the economic hardships and due to the personal and family hardships, and also being locked in place. They have to approach their own healthcare in really a different fashion now. So online healthcare and health education has become a new boom. In addition, medical and telemedicine, which before has been used to some degree, is now exploding with the advent of more AI and more 3D technology. People are now interfacing with their physicians, whether it be like we are now in this educational session, or they're now sharing their ideas in a more rapid fashion, because they're now able to do this with large groups of people via the same technology we're using today for this particular conference. What we're also seeing is an explosion in the home gym industry. I enjoyed this morning watching Excellency Sri Ravi Shankar working out with weights on a video this morning, which, being a weightlifter myself, was a real pleasure to see. People are now taking control of their own healthcare. They are now having gyms in their home. They're also learning now how to cook more at home because restaurants have been closed down over the last year. So people now are paying more attention to the foods they buy, the diet they are on, how they are cooking and preparing their foods. And so this is a significant change. Instead of just relying on going to restaurants, people are now cooking at home and taking a strong interest in their own nutritional intake. In addition to that, we're seeing an explosion in the sales of vitamins and various nutritional supplementation, which now leads more strength to integrative medicine, whether it be Ayurvedic medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, anti-aging medicine. All of these things are now coming together to allow people to take more personal control. So instead of just going to their doctor, since they don't have the access as much as they did in the past, they're now saying, I need to take control of my life. I need to take control of my own healthcare in a more aggressive fashion. And I also need to self-educate. Having been involved in medical education for many decades and having trained over 150,000 physicians in various specialties, we understand the need for not only physicians to self-educate through their continuing medical education, but also to help their patients to now take a more cooperative approach with their physicians to now say, how can we make both sides even better, more polished, better communication? So now we've gone from where people will go in large groups to say enormous fitness centers like we have in America. We have some that are over 100 or 200,000 square feet that may have 20 or 30,000 members, to where now people are taking a portion of their home or their apartment and now turning it almost into their own personal training area. So out of this horrific situation that we have all been experiencing globally over these years, we are now seeing a dramatic change in how we approach our own personal health care, how we approach our relationship with our medical community. And now we're looking at things that normally would not be looked at the patient level and also at the physician level. Due to the restrictions that have occurred over the last year, we are now seeing patients taking an active role in their own healthcare, educating themselves, and being very aggressive in trying to make the changes for themselves and for their family. So I think out of all trauma and all these difficult challenges, humans have a very unique ability for adaptation. And I think people have adapted to where they now understand it is really, and their healthcare is under their control to some degree, and more under their control than they really realize. They can adjust the type of food they eat, how it's prepared, and now they're taking that active role to protect themselves and their family. Again, it's an honor to be part of this esteemed panel, and for the excellent and exceptional speakers that have been here during the course of this series of sessions. And I thank you very much for this honor to address you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Goldman. I think that what my first two speakers have really emphasized on is the aspect as to how the entire system of medicine is going towards being more personalized. We did see Dr. Devi Shetty make a mention as to how yoga and also, the other systems of medicine apart from allopathy also proved to be a very, very important part when it comes to healing. We also saw Dr. Robert Goldman mention across the fact that how people are getting their systems of medicine into a more personalized approach as to what fits them. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm very honored to have the next speaker here with us, Vaidya Rajesh Kotichari, the Secretary, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, a ministry that has been very, very active, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Over to you, Kotichari, to really showcase and also tell us as to what the Ministry of Ayush really did during the COVID-19 pandemic, and what are your thoughts to see that where's healthcare going across post this pandemic?
Namaste Arvindji, my pranams to Sri Gurudev, and I thank for this opportunity. My greetings to the esteemed panelists, all experts. It's my pleasure to join all of you in this panel discussion on future of healthcare post-COVID, moving towards an integrative approach. My earlier two colleagues, they have explained really well in different perspective how we look for integrative approach post-COVID. I would like to mention, I would like to begin with some interesting experiences, sharing of some studies what Ministry of Ayush did. And based on that, I would like to, emphasize and put across my views, what could be, the model of integrative approach in future of post-COVID healthcare needs. For example, it is interesting that in India, in Delhi particularly, there was a COVID care center of 10,000 bed. Recently, it was wound up because there was not much patients. This facility was managed by the Home Ministry of Government of India through Indo-Tibetan Police Force, ITBP, and at any given point of time, there were not more than 2,000 patients with this facility. So this was a huge COVID care center, and they have adopted integrated approach of treating the patients with COVID. Whoever came there, they have actually implemented, in addition to standard care of COVID management, they have implemented very unique methodology to as an addition to the COVID care, like practice of yoga meditation with all patients, or giving them golden milk like turmeric milk every day, or the Ayush Kada that is recommended by Ministry of Ayush with some simple Ayurvedic plants to them, or giving them Chyawanprash or naturopathy based diet into this center. And till it was functioning in December, they have treated 11,900 plus patients. And in 11,900 plus patients, there was no mortality, zero mortality, nobody died. And only 230 people had to be referred to the higher centers. But whoever have been referred, they all recovered. So there is zero mortality, 0% mortality. This is a huge numbers, like the cohort is so big. So it gives us, an insight how this integrative approach should work. There is another example of we have COVID care center in Olida Institute of Ayurveda, where patients come in and then they were provided the choice of their choice of treatment. 93% of patients admitted that they have opted for only Ayurvedic management and yoga management. So no standard care of allopathic management. And all of them have recovered. There is no mortality. This is another example. Third example is of the same COVID care center, because they have rotation duty of healthcare workers into that COVID care center. And until now, they have 300 plus healthcare professionals have exposed to the COVID care center. They include right from bottom to the top, the doctors and paramedics and cleaning staff and all of them. And none of them got infected. 300 people got plus 300 people plus got exposed to COVID patients. They were all provided with prophylaxis of Ayurveda and yoga. So this is an example. These are the examples with huge cohort. And then to substantiate those observations, I would like to mention that Ministry of Ayush has instituted, like Dr. Gita, when you have introduced Arvindji, Dr. Gita Krishnan, you have mentioned about him being a part of this interdisciplinary task force. So we have instituted task force, and this task force was headed by basic scientists, very well-known scientist of our country, Professor Patwardhan, who was the vice chairman of our education council, and having representations from all top experts of the country, epidemiologists, pulmonologists, public health experts, Ayush experts, and these task force have recommended us different designs of the study. So they've suggested randomized control trials as an add-on therapy, as a standalone therapies of Ayush, or randomized control trials of yoga therapeutics, or observation studies, prophylaxis studies on large-scale cohorts. Even at this, the candidates what we have used were also, we have started studying them on the preclinical basis also, so that we understand the mechanics of those interventions. So we did initiate a lot of preclinical studies with the help of Department of Biotechnology and some of the ICMR institutions. So it's a very large effort, 120 studies at 141 sites, with the participation of the in all types of studies, participant is more than 500,000 people, like 500,000 people. And what we have observed, for example, in RCTs were done in reputed institutions
like BHU, Banaras Hindu University, or KGMU, King's George Medical University in Lucknow, or All India Institute of Ayurveda, or Datta Mega Institute of Medical Sciences. So those kind of very well reputed institutions of our country. And what we found across those all studies, I also want to mention that even institutions from Sri also, they have initiated a clinical study on Kavasura Kodinir. So all of these studies, we have one common observation, that irrespective of the candidate, there were few candidates like Kavasura Kodinir, Ashwagandha, Guduchi Pipali, or Ayush 64, or homeopathic remedies. What we observed, that these people who have got add-on therapeutics from Ayush, they recovered faster. They became negative in around 1 week or less, and nobody went into the severe condition, and none of them died. So these are the common observation all over. So this is very huge, very big. Out of these 120 studies, 79 studies now completed, 3 published, 12 is available in preprint, and 35 scripts are under review. So we are hoping that at least we will get 40 to 50 publications in good journals out of these efforts. It's a minimum expectation, because studies are numbers are so huge. In preclinical studies also, we have observed very interesting facts, that these candidates, what we have studied on clinical studies, we were able to start right away, because it was repurposing of the existing medicine, where we have safety studies, etc., and all safety and everything was there. So we have all documentation available. So we were able to start right away the clinical studies as a repurposing. But those candidates we have also studied in preclinical, and we found that a lot of these plants are very, very effective as an antiviral on COVID-19. And we have also found that some of these candidates are very good as an immunomodulator. Immunomodulation is also one of the approach of preventing the people to go to cytokine storms. So why I'm mentioning this, that this is a very good example, because this pandemic has given the traditional medicine as an equal footing with conventional medicine. Nobody knew what is going on. Nobody knew what is the way out. So everybody started searching for some solution. And then because of this equal opportunity, Ayush was able to establish such a wonderful, kind of evidences, and generate based on these evidences and empirical evidences available before the COVID. Government of India has actually invited us to present our all these candidates, and yoga intervention in front of National Clinical Management Task Force, which is having the representation of all big experts of our country. And this task force has approved this clinical management protocol. It is now published in Government of India management protocol as a second chapter from Ayush, and it is being implemented all over the country. So this is a good example. Lastly, what I want to mention, that All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Jodhpur, they have instituted a study that how many clinical studies are being conducted in India for COVID. So this study was done in August 2020, and until August 2020, they found that there was some 203 studies initiated on, they found it on Clinical Trial Registry of India. Out of these 203 studies, 61% were from Ayush. So this is also unprecedented. And as a Government of India, we have facilitated, we did try to facilitate, these kind of serious studies, because it is always said by the experts that the traditional medicine people claim big, but they don't have evidences. So this thing should be looked at very seriously. So we did institute all these studies with all seriousness, very robust, and we found that integrative care model is a very good approach for post-COVID also, because we did some post-COVID studies also. We did studies, and particularly when we talk about integrative approach, there is a lot of confusion about integration. When we talk about integration, there is a large confusion that integration means
that the traditional medicine doctors would use allopathic medication, allopathic doctors would use traditional medicine intervention. It's not true. It's like working together. It's working in harmony for the benefit of the patients and trying to find out some packages or with a holistic approach. Like Dr. Devi Shetty was mentioning about the diabetes management and adding yoga into this. So we have a very good experience about a total, like a holistic treatment of diabetes or non-communicable diseases, where medication could be from conventional system, and then dietetics, lifestyle, exercises, yoga, meditation can be added as a package. And this package could be, used for, as an integrative model. Lastly, it is true that COVID had given us an opportunity to think alternatively, to stop, to have a pause, and through the pause, our inner wisdom of mankind has emerged, and now all over the world, people are becoming health conscious. So this is a positive outcome of the COVID crisis. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Kotecha-ji. And it's really so correct and prudent also that where you've highlighted as to what the role of the Ayush systems and also the Indian systems of medicine have been, especially during the pandemic. And yes, of course, the clinical trial that what you mentioned, that what Shri Tatva has done, it so happened that that particular trial, we also initiated one with, Dr. Devi Shetty's Narayana Health as well. And right now that's also under publication in some international journals. So as what you also rightly mentioned, that yoga and meditation also do play a very important role when it comes to attending to one's health, because we've realized, especially during the pandemic, the importance of mental health and how that plays a major role to see that how one can heal faster. One particular interesting fact that what I want to put across, apart from what Dr. Goldman also mentioned, that how Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar is always very enthusiastic when it comes to being both physically and mentally fit, where he showed across a video today, which I would encourage all of us also to go and see it in case if you've not. He ensured that over 4 million people meditated with him every day online. And this is something that really shows, especially during the lockdown days, that how people were recognizing the importance of mental well-being and how mental health was really playing a major role when it comes to one's healing during the entire pandemic. So having said this, I would invite my next speaker, Dr. Christian Garber, Managing Director of the Frankfurt Innovation Center for Biotechnology. An honor to have you here, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arvin, for giving me this opportunity to talk to these people and to this breakout session. And also, I'm very thankful for getting this opportunity on this World Conference to talk about our approach about Genomics, how we call it. So before I start, I just want to introduce you a little bit to the Frankfurt Innovation Center before I elaborate more on our Genomics approach. So the core focus of the Frankfurt Biotechnology Center is the application of innovation in the healthcare sector and the integration of medical systems. The integration must be done at many levels. Our aim is to increase awareness of traditional medical systems and generate scientific evidence as to increase their acceptance in the Western societies. For this purpose, we initiated several analytical projects as well as clinical studies in which we apply the latest multi-omics technologies and bioinformatic tools. So the Genomics approach that I mentioned already has the overall aim to develop evidence-based guidelines to integrate Ayurveda principles and practices in modern medicine. So within the Genomics project, we have been bridging the traditional Ayurvedic knowledge and the latest genomic approaches with an aim of investigating the genetic markers that are potentially associated with known Ayurvedic formulations and concepts. This project is benefited from the advanced genome sequencing and bioinformatics machine learning tools for underpinning interactions among the Ayurvedic formulations and the genetic elements, example given the coding and non-coding regions of the human genome. Artificial intelligence has played a key role in the areas of genomics and drug development so far. In the Genomics project, we are developing AI-based algorithms for identifying potential targets of the traditional Ayurvedic formulations. Using these predictions and available knowledge, we are setting up an Ayurvedic product recommendation system, which could recommend the Ayurvedic products to the clients or to the patients more precisely. Outcomes from this project will play a major role in understanding the molecular basis of the mode of action of traditional Ayurvedic formulations and how these could be implemented in the current healthcare system. In collaboration with the All Indian Institute of Ayurveda and Sri Sri Tattva, Art of Living, we merged the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda with the latest technologies as to find treatments also against COVID-19. So mental health definitely is a major issue also after the pandemic, but it was our target to find also treatments against COVID-19 today. Most of the talks are about vaccines, but we need also treatments, and not only for this corona epidemic that we have now. We will face new epidemics very soon, maybe, and then we have to be prepared. So FITS received the funding commitment from the Ministry of Ayush for the collaborative research project that is done in vitro and in vivo studies between the All Indian Institute of Ayurveda, the Ministry of Ayush, and the FITS to study the pharmacokinetic of Guduchi-based Ayurvedic formulations for COVID-19. Considering the combination of herbs in the formulation has clinical activity on fever, cough, and cardiac condition. In the current study, our aim is to perform the preclinical studies by incorporating molecular docking, multi-omics, and artificial intelligence techniques for understanding molecular basis of the mode of action of these Ayurvedic formulations. This would help in assessing the safety and efficacy of the polyherbal compound with scientific evidence to potentiate its claim for being used in COVID-19 clinical trial. Altogether, we strongly believe that our findings will play a key role in developing safe and effective Ayurvedic treatment against COVID-19. FITS started also a collaborative research project with Sri Sri Tattva, Europe, with Tebu Bio from Germany and the University Hospital of Bonn, which aims to understand the molecular mechanism of Ayurvedic formulations and to analyze whether Ayurveda phytoactive substances can support the human body against the coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 virus. FITS network partners are examining anti-inflammatory and immune-boosting Ayurveda products for its effectiveness. The first phase of the project investigated Shakti drops and also Kabasur Kudina tablet, along with other Ayurveda medicines for the ACE2 inhibition. We checked the SARS-CoV-2 spike interaction inhibitor capability and the immune boosting effects. The study found out that Kabasura Kudina tablets of Sri Sri Tattva was the strongest inhibitor with 84% of spike glycoprotein in coronavirus strains, in restricting entry of virus into cells in vitro studies. We are very pleased to be part of this extraordinary research projects, and thus also to be able to make our contribution in the fight against the coronavirus. Sequencing already brought us closer to the principles of personalized medicine. However, it should be added with Ayurveda. By introducing the principles of Ayurveda to modern medicine, we can reach a paradigm shift where we are putting the human being into the focus and not just the interaction of molecules in a human body. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm looking really forward for this wonderful collaboration that we have with the All Indian Institute of Ayurveda and also with Sri Sri Tattva for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Garber. It's really so amazing to see that how technology could also be used to really further the science of Ayurveda. And from Sri Sri Tattva, we are really committed to see that how we could take our research projects with you forward. We are really leaving no stone unturned to ensure that we bring in more scientific collaboration and also research papers in the entire Irish systems. And we are very proud to be partnering with you and your institution. Thank you very much. Over to Dr. Geeta Krishnan next, the Technical Officer, Traditional and Complementary and Integrated Medicine Unit at the World Health Organization, a very dear friend of mine. Dr. Geeta Krishnan, over to you.
Thank you, Arvindji, for inviting me to this wonderful session with all the luminaries from across the globe. In fact, thanks to for calling me for this, excellent session in the presence of Dr. Kotecha and Dr. Devi Shetty, Dr. Christian and Dr. Goldman, and Dr. Tone. It is a very relevant subject as on today, and I think we have a lot of things to think about here, because I think we are still in the midst of the pandemic. So we are going through the change. So we probably are not in a situation to stand outside and look at what kind of changes are happening within ourselves and within our environment. But there has been few feelers out there. And we know that, like in the future, as a change, the government funding for select areas and select diseases is going to increase. That's something which we will definitely see as a change in future and in the immediate future for sure. And we also know that there will be increase of cost and increase in the number of people turning towards elective care. It is a definite trend that we are going to see. And we are also going to have a change in the government's attitudes towards the perception of what they consider as health workforce. It will change, that's for sure, because that is what we are seeing. Because what is considered as health workforce before pandemic and will be much different from, or after pandemic will be much different from what was considered as health workforce or constitutions of health workforce before the pandemic. So this is going to change. The way in which medical education, training, skilling of health workforce is going to take place is going to change, because we are already seeing that, and it is going to be a hybrid mode of education that's going to set into all educational formats or areas, but specifically in medical education, because it is now very clear that it is possible to do practical training or most of the training of medical education in a hybrid mode, and that could be more effective. And of course, the effectiveness and efficiency of it needs to be looked at, but there is going to be a change in that area. Technology will become inseparable from healthcare delivery, that's for sure. We are seeing that happening, and with the kind of technology and the kind of resources being put in behind the fight against COVID management, we know that technology will take upper hand and will not move away from being or will not be away from healthcare delivery anymore. It's going to be a part and parcel of healthcare delivery, and it will also drive developments in healthcare. So this is for sure. Another major area where there will be a change will be the number of occasions where physicians who are directly interacting with the patients will go down. Like it's going to be like we had a strong like attitude for changing that, where it was already the patients and the physicians were getting alienated. Now there is a big possibility that this alienation might increase because of the barriers set up by the COVID management, and it is going to take some time before it gets back to normal. I think at least about 1 year to 2 year it might take, and I do not know whether it is going to be exactly the same anymore, because by that time technology might come in, and the necessity itself might get reduced. There are like as these changes happen, we are also going to see a lot of barriers coming in the area of healthcare, which already had been having considerable amount of strain in it. We will see that there will be more emphasis on infectious diseases, specifically very specific infections, which we know, like what happened with the management of TB, or what happened with the management of of like HIV infections during this period. So there will be very specific focused management of or care for specific infections, but this will also leave come up with the problem of like neglecting already existing, or the real health scenario which is already existing and which has never gone away, which is the problem of NCDs which we are facing, the problem of neglected diseases which are on the rise. These are things which we will have to look back. We are now looking at COVID and COVID focused, but there was an existing amount of diseases existing in the community which never went away. It is only we are not looking at them, and we are not seeing that. So this is a major problem which we are going to face. And we are also going to see where, like age related care might decrease. There might be like there will be people getting more alienated, which I already said. So like the detection of NCDs might recede, and there will be more number of people with like non-communicable diseases in on the ground, and there will be an increase in the number of patients with non-communicable diseases in the near future. I'm not saying in future, but in the near future. These are things which we need to look at, and these are the problems which COVID-19 will bring into healthcare in the immediate future, probably, which will have a repercussion over the next decade, and which will actually take us back by at least several years in the progress which we had made in this area. So these are areas which we really will have to work on. And this, as we call it, every crisis comes as an opportunity also. This is an opportunity for integrative medicine. Like the same problems, as you said, in the management of NCD, the management of age-related care, management of specific population with pain, etc., where the current modern healthcare system will be finding difficulty in managing or providing the same kind of effort. That is where traditional medicine has a lot to offer, like in the management of NCD, early detection of NCD, and in prevention of like many of the NCD problems which in the community. Traditional medicine has a lot to offer, especially Ayurveda and yoga. So that is something which we know for sure. We know that geriatric care is a very great opportunity for traditional medicines like Ayurveda, yoga, traditional Chinese medicine, etc. So as in the case of pain management, these areas where the currently existing system will find difficulty in managing or focusing on, is the area where traditional medicine can come in, and that gives us an excellent opportunity for integration. And I'm sure that if we do this well, integrative medicine can lead to better use of knowledge and human capital for managing human suffering. I'm sure that if we work well, and if we work towards a common goal, working together in an integrated manner, it can reduce social inequity, and thereby it can also lead to healthcare delivery being equitable to all humans on earth. I am very happy that you gave me this opportunity to make my views on this, and I'm sure that I'll be happy to work with you in this area. Thank you so much for.
Thank you so much, Dr. Geeta Krishnan. I think what you really highlighted on the points that how Ayurveda and also the traditional systems of medicine are getting more recognition and also are being recognized worldwide. A decade back, you would see the aspect of whether the entire Irish systems are abreast with in terms of quality of manufacturing, etc. But I think that's a thing of the past right now. Organizations like us in Sri Sri Tattva also have the WHO CGMP, COPP, GMP for our Ayurveda products that what we export across to the world. And also we've seen that a whole lot of organizations, of course, under the aegis of the Ministry of Ayush, are really bringing across the traditional systems of what India has to offer in a more scientific approach. And also, as what you rightly mentioned, that education in terms of what these systems are about and what are ingredients and also what could be possible contaminants. These are things that what really needs to go across. And the aspect of bringing the systems of medicine into the educational sector is something that what we all need to work on to see that how we could lead a more healthy life. And the aspect that what all the previous speakers mentioned, right from Dr. Devi Shetty to Dr. Robert Goldman, to you and also to Kotechaji, the aspect of integrative medicine is not locking heads with one onto the other, but to see that how both these systems of medicine could come across and work together for the better health of the patient and also patient management coming across first. I also saw that with behind Dr. Devi sometime back when he was there, saying that patient first. So I think this is the future of healthcare that what we're really looking at and seeing that how the systems of medicine come together. And
Arvind, I'm here.
Yes, doctor. Yes, I see that. Yes. And next is my speaker, Dr. Ton Nicolai, the Secretary General, the member of Executive Committee Eurocamp. It's a pleasure to have you here, doctor, and over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be among this fantastic panel and that you have invited me to this event. I must say that I live in Europe, and in Europe is allopathic medicine or biomedicine, Western medicine is the norm. So I look with a lot of envy to India, and especially to what Dr. Kotecha told us about all these studies where they could prove that traditional medicine could heal patients with COVID-19 without any single mortality. I'm impressed. I wish I could bring these results to the health authorities in Europe. And I'm sure that would, well, maybe they will not believe their own eyes, but at a certain point, they must be convinced that this is a real wonderful approach to heal patients. Yes, my presentation is, as we all know, about the future of healthcare post-COVID. The next slide, please. I cannot handle it myself, I suppose, or can I? Oh yeah. I would like to start with some lessons learned from COVID-19. Next slide, please. Well, you know that COVID-19 took us by surprise. We were not prepared in spite of earlier epidemics by coronaviruses. And the virus was announced as a deadly virus, and it aroused a lot of panic among the population. And according to the dashboard of the WHO, up till now, we have more than 130 million confirmed cases and more than 2.8 million deaths. And it brought our healthcare systems to their knees. It was a very difficult situation indeed. Next one, please. But was it a threat to everyone? It was not. because the hospitalizations and death were much, much higher among those people with other serious health problems, heart and lung conditions, obesity, diabetes, etc. And a very large majority of people remain unaffected. They didn't suffer any symptoms or just mild ones. So germs are a necessary, but certainly not a sufficient cause for communicable disease, as you as doctors and specialists, of course, know, but I don't know if the whole audience is aware of that as well. Next one, please. As we know, infection is always the result of two factors, exposure to the germ and the person's susceptibility. And Western biomedicine is focusing on annihilating the germs. And we are very happy that we have antibiotics, because these antibiotics have reduced illness and death from serious infectious diseases dramatically. But the host's ability to repel invaders has been neglected. And I always like the military metaphor. It's either searching and destroying the enemy or strengthening the home forces. Next one, please. And the focus of Western medicine is on defeating disease, as you know, forceful intervention, destroying infectious agents. And that is a very effective model for the treatment of acute emergencies and for life-threatening conditions. And in biomedicine, is the development of antivirals and vaccines perceived as the ultimate solution. Next one, please. And on the other hand, the traditional and complementary medicine is not directed at killing germs or combating a specific disease, but at mobilizing and stimulating the self-regulating capacity of humans and animals to increase their resilience, which leads to sustained recovery from infections and reduced susceptibility to future infections. So traditional and complementary medicine can be used as a prevention, but also for a treatment of mild infections or as an add-on intervention to biomedical treatment. Next one, please. And healthy lifestyles have always been an essential part of traditional and complementary medicine. In Ayurveda, in traditional Chinese medicine, since many centuries, these traditional medicine systems have been advocating healthy lifestyles. And there is ample evidence for the effectiveness of these lifestyle factors as well. Next one, please. And I would like to, to go on with highlighting some challenges and opportunities. What exactly are the current challenges in managing infectious diseases, and how can we deal with them to regain trust? And one of these challenges is the disruption of the microbiome. The microbiome, that is the collective genomes of the microbes, the bacteria, the fungi, the viruses that live inside and on the human body. We have billions of microbes, more than there are humans on Earth. And they protect us and feed us. And all life on Earth depend on their activities. And next one, please. And this microbiome also plays an essential part in the immune system, protecting us against infection. And the problem is that this microbiome will be disrupted by antibiotics. And if the microbiome is disrupted, it will lead to an increased susceptibility to infections and can even lead to a number of chronic medical conditions. Next one, please. So antibiotics are both a blessing and a problem. Antibiotics, as you know, are leading to antimicrobial resistance because bacteria adapt easily and become resistant to antibiotics. There was a professor that I met who said that at a lab where they produce new antibiotics, as soon as the antibiotic has been produced, there are resistant bacteria. It is a dead-end street, and there are no new antibiotics longer in the pipeline because they cannot solve the problem. And the same, I'm afraid, will go for vaccines because of the multiple variants. Some people, many people even, believe that vaccines are the most ideal option to prevent or deal with outbreaks of a virus. But the point is that usually vaccines can take years or sometimes even decades to be developed. And it was only during this corona crisis that the funding by governments enabled manufacturers to develop a successful vaccine at a record speed within a year. But, and I put it in bold, will we need another year of lockdown and vaccine development when the next pandemic emerges? Viruses will continue to mutate to such a degree that first generation vaccines will be probably less effective. And do we really want constant tests and vaccine passports for every new virus? I certainly am convinced that vaccines are a wonderful invention, no doubt about that, but they seem to be a temporary solution. We have zoonotic diseases. COVID-19 is the latest of them. 75 of new or emerging infectious diseases that infect humans originate in animals. And the risk of zoonotic diseases will increase over the next few years or maybe forever. Next one, please. Zoonotic diseases, the reasons, the cause of zoonotic diseases are the clearing of forests for agriculture and intensive livestock farming. Next one, please. And I'm very happy that I found the IPBES, the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services. They are working on this problem of zoonotic diseases. And I put here some quotes from this IPBES. They say, future pandemics will emerge more often, spread more readily, do more damage to the world economy, kill more people than COVID-19, unless there is a transformative change in the global approach to dealing with infectious diseases. And there are about 600,000 to 800,000 unknown viruses in nature that could still infect people. And current economic impacts are 100 times the estimated cost of prevention. So it is imperative that governments worldwide take the necessary steps to change what they call humanity's promiscuous treatment of nature, or there will be many more pandemics. So how can we deal with these challenges so as to regain our trust? Next one. In any case, there is increasing awareness that it is time to act. And I'm happy that this IPBES, this policy forum, is supported by now by 137 governments worldwide. And they are planning how to deal with this problem of zoonotic diseases, and they are starting to implement their plans. Apart from that, there is, sorry, just one back, please. There is a worldwide support of the One Health approach. Also in Europe, maybe, I suppose it is by now worldwide. The One Health approach means the interconnection between people, animals, plants, and their environment. And only such an approach can achieve optimal health for everyone. Next one. And I'm also happy to tell you that in the European Union, the so-called EU for Health program was adopted recently. And this program supports health promotion and disease prevention by, and I would like to highlight that, by fostering healthy lifestyles, both in communicable and non-communicable diseases. That is a real step forward in Europe, I must say. And another positive development, I believe, is the fact that more and more governments are implementing the World Health Assembly resolutions that call on to integrate traditional and complementary medicine into national health systems. Sadly, Europe is still lagging behind. But, and there are still some actions necessary. Eurochem is a lobbying organization. The whole sector of traditional complementary and integrative medicine should continue raising awareness of the contribution it can make to current healthcare challenges in infectious diseases, for instance, by non-antibiotic treatment of infections, because that can help reduce antimicrobial resistance, and by strengthening the resilience of patients through lifestyle changes and traditional and complementary medicine treatment. And it is imperative that citizens and health professionals, especially in Europe, where mainstream biomedical medicine, biomedicine is the norm, that they continue advocating for the availability, accessibility, and affordability of traditional, complementary, and integrative medicine in national health systems. So actions need to be taken, but I believe that the future may be bright. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nikolai. That was really very informative. So I have some questions from the audience, and I would like to place the first question to Dr. Devi. Yes, I think he has some technical difficulties. So as he comes in, I'll pose my first question to Rajesh Kotechaji. You're in the legislative as well as a renowned health practitioner and teacher. How can we inculcate the integrative approach to people from an early stage of life instead of when they're suffering? Kotechaji, over to you.
Thank you, Arvindji. Actually, it should be built into the primary education from beginning of primary education, the schools, like what we are doing in India now. We are with our school education department and trying to make some inroads into the school education system where primary sensitization of this knowledge is to be done. This is one area. The other thing is, we all know that in addition to these 3 tier of healthcare system all over the world, it is somebody should. It is echoing actually. Now it is fine. So all over the world, there is a 3 tier healthcare system from primary healthcare, secondary care, and tertiary care. So if we think about 4th layer of healthcare system where family is involved, the wisdom of the traditional knowledge lying with the generations of the family, if they are empowered to take care of the self for certain clinical conditions, simple conditions, or taking care of their health for the promotion and prevention and wellness. And if this is if this is implemented, there is a huge potential of improvement into the overall health of the community and the country. So two things I have mentioned. One is these knowledge systems should be introduced at the from the beginning of the education into school education and onwards. And second thing I mentioned, that self-care models available all over the world. People know how to take care of themselves by using simple remedies of the plants around them or from the home, spices, etc., or doing yoga or meditation and so many simple things. So if they are empowered as a fourth layer of healthcare, beginning of healthcare starts from the family, then I think there is a solution, a big solution is possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kotechaji, for your response. Dr. Goldman, can you hear me? Dr. Goldman?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, Doctor. Doctor, the next question is to you. So the audience is asking you that how is this integrative approach and relevant for common man, and how can it be popularized for the benefit of common man?
Well, I think that integrative approach is really even though it comes from the past, it is really the future of healthcare. We all know that taking control of one's own health through exercise, weight training, yoga, proper nutrition, nutritional supplementation. We've known for years in the sporting community that this is really the key. In the old days, when we would do our medical education seminars, there were very few doctors who were training on a regular regimen or really taking good care with their own personal fitness program. In fact, it was very funny. You see a lot of doctors smoking cigarettes or eating bad foods and not really taking care of their own health, yet they were trying to give advice to others. So there's been a real paradigm shift in this area. Now doctors do take an active care and they become better teachers and better examples for their patients. So I think we're going to see more and more of this, where many of the topics that were brought up today in terms of Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese traditional medicine, all these different basics that we know work, yoga, weight training to continue to build muscle mass and bone mass as we grow older. And I think enhancing one's immune system becomes critical. There are so many nutritional compounds, whether it be vitamin D, C, quercetin, just a whole array of these different supplements have been shown. And so people are now taking charge of their own healthcare. And I think we really need to augment that education process to the medical community as well as to the general public. And this will have a profound effect. We do know in past epidemics or pandemics or other healthcare crises that just the use of vitamin D alone had a profound effect on the health of millions of people around the world. So I think we need to continue the education process. And now that people are open to education processes in terms of the internet, calls such as this, whether it be on Zoom or telemedicine and so on, this is a profound and very positive change in the transference of medical education as well as patient education. So we need to continue to push that envelope.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for your response. My next question is to Dr. Devi Shetty, in case if his technical matters were resolved. Dr. Devi, can you hear us? All right, so we come back to him. My next question is to Dr. Christian Garber. How is your work on genomics helping integrating the systems, and also how does this help in treating diseases successfully?
Yes, thank you very much, Arvin, for this question. So precision medicine is now a topic for quite a while in the Western countries. And we started with precision medicine in the area of cancer. So we sequenced a lot of cancer samples. And what we tried to find out is what kind of mutations, what would be the best treatment for this specific cancer that we sequenced in terms of the treatment that is available. But at the end of the day, what I think is the tools of sequencing bring us closer to the personalized medicine. So if you look at the Western medicine, it may have started around 120 years back, but it was more or less focused, particularly since the 50s of the last century, on the molecule level. So the whole human being was not really in the focus. And this is something where we are now working on with the sequencing to go really on this individual level and to find out what are the most important factors that have an impact on the health of this person. Also, it's not just the sequencing of a sample, but it's also the epigenetic level where we want to look at. And it was very interesting, particularly to listen also to Mr. Nikolai, what he mentioned there, that this is where we really bring both parts together. And why also this World Conference is so interesting. You're talking about a paradigm shift. And the paradigm shift always comes up if you have new tools for measurement. And the new tool that we want to implement here is really with the sequencing and with the artificial intelligence. Because with all the data that we generate, on the one side from the patient, but also on the other side from the Ayurvedic remedies, this will give us new insights for the treatment. But it's definitely going to the human being and where he is or where this human being is living in. So the whole environment.
Thank you so much, Doctor. My next question is to Dr. Geeta Krishnan. As a researcher, what are the few takeaway points for young researchers to do research in the integrative approach? And the second, I'll also pose in one more question to you. It's relevant to this. Further, what are the steps the WHO is taking to promote the integrative approach?
Okay. For young researchers, I think keeping an open mind is the most important thing. And that is what I find lacking in many researchers. They think or they are under the impression that what they learn and the laws what they learn are the only laws that run the universe. I think there are several things which can lead to one single event, and that is something which people do not understand. And and the best way to work together is to keep an open mind, agree that like somebody else also has information and knowledge which is workable for your situation and could be useful for you. And I see that kind of approach from Dr. Christian Garber, like the kind of work he is doing, and that should be an example. That is the kind of example which Dr. Devi Shetty has already shown us about 20 years before, when he started working with yoga practitioners before undertaking his cardiac surgeries. And that is the kind of work which Dr. Rajesh Kotecha had shown us while undertaking the hundreds of thousands of patients being treated with Ayurvedic care in COVID management. I think that is very clear. We need to keep an open mind, and that is what students or young researchers have to do. As far as promoting integrative medicine, WHO is right now working on a clear definition for integrative medicine, which probably should be a global. We are in a consultation process because integrative medicine has different meanings and different kinds of understanding. As Dr. Kotecha had earlier mentioned, integrative medicine could also mean that another system of medicine being used by a different system, a practitioner. So that is not integrative medicine. That is not exactly what probably all of us here understands integrative medicine as. But that definition has to come up, and that is the current work of WHO in the area of integrative medicine. We are also working and trying in the process of developing a research program for integrative medicine, and I'm sure that the work which will be undertaken by the Global Center for Traditional Medicine, which has been announced by the WHO DG in the last Ayurveda Day in 2020, and which is being strongly supported by the Ministry of Ayush in its establishment in India. will have a strong focus on integrative medicine. So that is what WHO will be doing in future with regard to integrative medicine. And I'm very happy to know that, at a global scale, India will be a part of it, and India will be supporting that.
Thank you so much, Doctor. The next question is to Dr. Nikolai. It's a very interesting one. What are the advantages in following the integrative approach? You're a doctor that's seen both conventional medicine and also several CAM disciplines. So we have a quick 30-second before we have a quick 30-second. Doctor, my apologies because we're closing in at 7:30. Thank you.
Well, what is the advantage? Sometimes you need to intervene forcefully in a particular patient's condition, and in other cases, it is enough to support the patient's immune system so that he or she can handle the situation themselves. So it is wonderful that both approaches are there and can be used depending on the situation where the patient is in. Yeah, well, that isn't the integrative approach, that you make use of any particular treatment that can help the patient, and that depends, of course, on the situation the patient is in, whether or not he needs a forceful intervention that directs the patient in the way you want, or can you support the patient to do it himself?
Thank you so much, Doctor. I think that was very, very relevant, and I'm sure that the people watching this particular webcast would have really benefited from that. Dr. Devi, is he back? I was told that he had a patient to look at. So in case if Doctor is back, then I just have one question. If not, then we proceed to the closing of the panel. Dr. Devi, do we have him back here? All right, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been such a privilege to moderate this particular session. We've had people from different streams of medicine coming in and agreeing upon one particular point, that the future of healthcare is that of an integrated approach. Each of these systems have their own advantages, and we need to see that how we could marry both the approaches to really see that how the patients have benefited from these systems of medicine. We've seen that the traditional systems of medicine like Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, and homeopathy have really seen a great amount of scientific data approach mechanism that what is being implemented by them right now. So what does this actually prove? This proves that just because a system of medicine that need not have a double-blind clinical study, it does not mean that there are no benefits from the particular medicinal system. So right now we've seen that this particular aspect, that the entire Ayush systems under the leadership of Rajesh Kotechaji, we've seen that a whole lot of scientific approach data papers have emerged in the entire Ayush systems. And the entire Ayush ministry is also here to show across to the world that the traditional systems of India have also been documented and are globalization ready. So I think that it's important that in the way forward, especially that what COVID-19 has taught us, that one particular system might not have all the answers, but we need to really search through these systems of medicine that what we have all across the world to see that how we can benefit the patients first, and also see that we deliver healthcare that is very relevant in times, because COVID-19 has really shown that the relevance of different systems of medicine are something that what people have ignored previously, And especially during the COVID-19 times, we've seen that a whole lot of importance is given to the traditional systems of medicine, not only in India, but also across the globe. So I think the future of healthcare is to see that how we could have an integrated approach where we do have an aspect of prevention and also the aspect of cure. But I think that rather than labeling that one system has prevention and another has a cure, it's for us to research and see that which systems of medicine have preventive ability and which systems have a curative ability when it comes to diseases. And of course, keeping the patients and also the person's health at first to see that what needs to be administered to them. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this webcast. I'm again very proud and privileged to have moderated this session of such esteemed personalities and also erudite people. So thank you very much. The World Forum for Ethics in Business is very happy to bring across the fact that, that through the teachings of Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, who's also founded the World Forum for Ethics in Business, we've seen that how we could bring in a different meaning towards healthcare and towards what we've learned from this panel. The integrative approach is something that what the world is waiting for. And I think that people like in this panel are also seeing that how the world can also be benefited and they're delivering this particular approach to them. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And a very happy World Health Day to everybody. Thank you.